Why is there illness, disease? Why do we suffer? What brings happiness? What brings pain? What did I do to deserve this? Why me? How can I become lucky like others? Why is life not fair? Is there a destiny? Why is my destiny like this? Can I change it? How? All these questions have bothered many people across ages. A superior logic is needed to answer these questions. That logic is summarized in the law of karma. Lord Krishna in Gita explains about karma. Jesus Christ, the Savior, in Bible talks about karma when he says, "As you sow, so shall you reap." They are all talking about the same thing. The law of karma. The word karma comes from Sanskrit and means in itself law of action and consequence. Obviously, there is no cause without an effect, nor an effect without a cause. In physics, the first law of thermodynamics states, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is nothing but the law of karma. Every action will lead to a consequence. There is no consequence you see today that comes without an action in the past. An action today will always lead to a consequence in the future. All that we must do must be paid for. In common language, people say, "There is no free lunch." The law of the balance, the terrible law of karma, rules all that has been created. Whether we like it or not, whether we believe in it or not, all causes become effects, and all effects transform into causes that lead to future effects. And this is how the wheel of life, the wheel of destiny, continues. It is urgent to understand what this law of compensation is. It is urgent to live wisely with the help of this law. If not, we can fall into error and continue to suffer.
So you are then confirming that there is a destiny?
Yes. Before this life we have at present, we not only had a previous existence, but many others. Everyone is born according to one's own destiny. Some people are born in rich and very wealthy families, and other people come back or return among poor and miserable families. If we did well in our last existence, we collect the prize now. We go back to homes where we lack nothing, and we shall have all sorts of comforts. If we did badly, if we wasted our money, if we were mean, if we exploited the others, if we made the mistake of robbing or ruining other people, if we misused money, we obviously have to come back among miserable families, dressed with beggars' bodies, unhappy, hungry, and undernourished. So everyone reaps the harvest one is sown. As you sow, so shall you reap.
But why is this law necessary? Why are any laws necessary? Why can't we have freedom to live the way we want?
We have already been given freedom, free will, and we can do whatever we want. But it is clear that we must take responsibility for all our acts before God. We can do what we want with our freedom, but our freedom should not get into the way of others' freedom. If it affects others in a positive way, if we add to their freedom or happiness, then we did a good deed, and we get rewarded for that. But if our freedom to act affects others' freedom in a negative way, makes others unhappy, then we get to pay for it. Any act of our lives, either good or bad, therefore always has its consequences. Karma is a law of compensation, not of vengeance. If someone has done good, the law rewards this person. If someone has done bad, the law puts the person in a situation in which he can learn from his mistake and correct his behavior. Therefore, karma is a medicine which is applied to us for our own benefit. So this law is necessary to protect our freedom and the freedom of everyone. If this law were not there, you can imagine the kind of world it would be. People who do bad will continue to do bad without any restrictions. They will make this world an unlivable place. People who do good will find no incentive, no happiness. The world will be a miserable place. It will be a total anarchy. Fortunately, the divine intelligence that has created this universe, in its infinite wisdom, has created this law to govern it.
But do you think people understand this? Do you think people understand how to apply this law well?
No, unfortunately not. Instead of bowing in a reverent way before the eternal living God that created this wise law, people protest, blaspheme, justify themselves, apologize in a silly way, and wash their hands like Pontius Pilate. They do not want to understand that the bitterness they are going through now is nothing but a result of their own past actions. There are very few courageous people who will admit their own mistakes to you. However, with such protest, the karma is not modified. On the contrary, it turns harder and more severe. The only thing a person can get is sympathy from friends. That is all. We have to remember that when we come to this world, we bring our own destiny. Some people are born on feather beds, and other people in disgrace. If we killed in our previous existence, we are killed now. If we wounded, we are wounded now. If we robbed, we are robbed now. And with the measure we used, it will be measured to us. We ask our consort to be faithful when we ourselves have been adulterers in this life or in the previous ones. We ask for love when we have been ruthless and cruel. We want people to understand us when we have never been able to understand anybody. When we have never been able to see the neighbor's point of view. We want immense happiness when we have always been the origin of great unhappiness. We would have wanted to be born in a very beautiful palace with many comforts, when in previous existences, we did not provide our sons and daughters with a home and beauty. We protest against insulters, when we have always insulted everybody who surrounds us. We want our sons and daughters to obey us, when we never obeyed our parents. Gossip bothers us. We want nobody to gossip about us. However, we have always been gossiping about our neighbors and vexing other people. In short, we always want what we have not given. In all our past lives, we were wicked and deserved the worst, but we suppose we must be given the best.
Then what is the correct way to understand the law of karma? What is the correct way to apply it?
The law of karma is very useful for us if we learn how to apply it properly. Using the same law, it is possible to modify our own destiny, because when an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes the inferior law. If we modify the cause, the effect is also modified. The lion of the law has to be fought with a balance. If we put our good deeds on one pan of the balance and the bad ones on the other, both pans will weigh the same, or there will be some imbalance. If the pan with the misdeeds weighs more than the other, we shall have to put new good deeds on the pan of good actions in order to tip the balance in our favor. That is how we cancel karma. Do good deeds so that you can pay your debts. Remember that you can not only pay with pain, but you may also pay with good deeds. Now you will understand, my dear friends, how wonderful it is to do good deeds. There is no doubt that right thinking, right feeling, and right acting are the best business. We must never protest against the karma. The most important thing is to know how to negotiate it. Unfortunately, the only thing people do when they are undergoing a very bitter situation is to wash their hands like Pontius Pilate. They say that they have done nothing wrong, that they are not guilty, that they are fair souls, etc. I say to those who are living in poverty that they must revise their behavior, judge themselves, sit even for a moment on the defendant's seat, and modify, after a brief analysis of themselves, their behavior. If those who do not have a job become chaste, infinitely charitable, peaceful, and 100% obliging, it is obvious that they would radically alter the cause of their disgrace, and the effect would be, consequently, modified. It is not possible to alter an effect if the cause which produced it has not been previously altered. For as we said, there is neither an effect without a cause, nor a cause without an effect. We must always work in a disinterested way and with infinite love for humankind. That is how we alter the bad causes which originated bad effects. There is no doubt that misery has its causes in drunkenness, in loathsome lust, in violence, in adulteries, in squander, in greed, etc. Do you want to regain health? Heal other people. Are any of your relatives in prison? Work for the freedom of other people. Are you hungry? Share your bread with those who are in a worse situation than you. Many people who are suffering only think about their grief and wish to stop it. But they do not remember their neighbor's sufferings, and not even remotely think about remedying their neighbor's needs. This egotistic state of their existence is good for nothing. The only thing they really obtain in this manner is making their sufferings worse. If such persons thought about the others, about serving their fellow men, about giving something to eat to those who are hungry, about giving something to drink to those who are thirsty, about clothing those who are naked, about teaching those who do not know, etc., it is obvious that they would put good actions on the pan of the cosmic balance to tip it in their favor, so that they would alter their destiny and bring good luck upon them. That is, all their needs would be solved. But people are very egotistical, and that is why they suffer. Nobody remembers God or their fellow men except when they are in desperation. And this is something that everybody has been able to experience. That is humankind.
If this law is so simple to understand and, like you said, has been explained many times before, then why do people not follow this law? Then why is it that people don't help each other much, especially in today's times?
You are right. Every time a prophet, an avatar gives this message, people do follow it for some time. And you may notice that the world becomes a better place for some time. However, as time passes, people forget this law. Why does this happen? All of us carry inside our biggest enemy, the ego. Let's think for a moment about the humanoid crowds that populate the face of the earth. They suffer horribly, victims of their own mistakes. They would not make those mistakes without the ego. Neither would they suffer their consequences. The only thing that is needed to have the right to live in true happiness is, first of all, not to have the ego. Certainly, when there are no psychic aggregates inside us, the inhuman elements that make us so horrible and wicked, there is no karma to be paid, and the result is happiness. It is also good to know that once we have radically eliminated the ego, the possibility of committing an offense is annihilated, and consequently, the karma may be forgiven. It is the ego that carries the seeds of current and future mistakes inside itself.
In what ways can we prevent this ego from making us fall into error?
The best thing is to destroy the ego, to dissolve it completely. For that, you have to first observe it. Once you develop the ability to see the egos in action within your own psychology, then you can destroy them. All the effects of life, all the events had their cause in a previous life, but we need to make ourselves conscious of that. Each moment of cheerfulness or pain must be followed in meditation, with a quiet mind and in deep silence. As a result, you experience the same event in a previous life. Then, when we become conscious of the cause of the event, be it pleasant or unpleasant, this is the best way to understand our past karma, and then we can do something to balance it. However, most people make the mistake of identifying with the current effects and forget about the past causes that created these effects in the first place.
We previously heard you mention the word karma, but we know that there exists the word dharma as well.
Karma means law of cause and effect. One cause, one effect. The word dharma is different. It is also a Sanskrit term, and it means reward. If we do well, we shall get good things. If we seed on good earth, we shall reap what we have sown. That is obvious.
In addition to what you have already described, is there anything else we should know about the law and how it is administered?
The masters who administer the law of karma are perfect men. Masters in the complete sense of the word, who live in the jinn state. They are judges of consciousness. When the masters of karma officiate as judges, they use the jackal-headed or the feathered wolf sacred mask, a symbol of the truth. The priest's chief in the court of justice is the Grand Master Anubis. In his work, the Chief Justice is advised by 42 judges of the law. The temple of the law is not found in the third dimension, but in the fifth dimension, in the causal world. In it, there is a book with its debit and credit for each person, in which the good and bad actions are carefully written down every day. Whoever awakens consciousness can travel to this temple in his inner bodies and study his own book of destiny. The lords of karma, in the courts of objective justice, judge souls by their works, by their concrete, clear, and definitive deeds, and not by their good intentions. The results are always the important thing. Having good intentions is good for nothing if the results are disastrous. Most people think the law is heartless, cold. That is far from the truth. Justice without mercy is tyranny. Mercy without justice is tolerance, leniency toward offenses. Karma is negotiable. If the law of action and consequence, if the nemesis of existence were not negotiable, then where would the divine mercy be? Frankly, I cannot accept a cruel divinity. The real, that is, all perfection, that which has diverse names such as Tao, Aum, Inri, Sain, Allah, Brahma, God, or rather, gods, etc., etc., in no way could be something without mercy, ruthless, tyrannical, etc. For all these reasons, I repeat in an emphatic way that karma is negotiable. It is possible to modify our own destiny, because when an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes the inferior law. If we modify the cause, the effect is also modified. The lion of the law has to be fought with the balance. The only thing is to remember that if we are merciful to others, the law will be merciful to us. However, if we have no mercy for others, we will not receive any mercy for our mistakes. As we measure to others, so it will be measured to us. Now you can understand why in a prayer given by the great Master Jesus Christ, He advised us to pray like this: Our Father, forgive our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us.